All right, we've only got two more to go. This is going way faster than last week. This is Group N, and what I have called the ticket selling group. You've got Miami, you've got Puebla, and you've got Tigres. The 2023 Leagues Cup winner, the Mexican Giants, and Puebla. Sorry, they
The
they know
disrespect to Puebla.
they know where they're at. Stop it. Go ahead and give me locations of play and give me new coming signings.
So this is actually a really interesting group in terms of locations to play. So I think partially because this is a group, one of the rare groups that has two Liga MX sides in it. But Tigres versus Puebla is going to be at Shell Energy Stadium, which is in Houston. Puebla versus Miami is going to be at Chase Stadium in Miami. And then the odd one here, Tigres versus Miami, you would think would be in Miami, considering the track record we've seen for all the other groups. But no, it's at NRG Stadium in Houston. So it's, I guess, a home game for Tigres. And then Miami has a home game.
Oh yeah, because they've got hub privileges. That's right.
I don't know what that is, but
So the big change from last year with everybody complaining about the traveling and stuff is that the top three ranked Liga MX clubs are granted what's called hub privileges along with the champions. So the top four basically that minimizes travel and rewards Mexican teams for playing in predetermined locations. Club America are playing through the semifinals in the state of California, which means San Diego and lower. Monterrey are in the state of Texas. So both group stage matches are in Q2, as we mentioned last episode. Chivas are in the state of California through the round of 32. So that's Levi Stadium in Santa Clara against San Jose, and then Dignity Health Sporting Good Park in Carson. And then Tigres have group stages in Texas. So they're going to get Puebla at Shell Energy, and they're going to get Miami at Energy Stadium.
so there you go. That's your locations. In terms of big signings, Miami, I mean, geez, they signed like everybody under the sun in winter 2024, but I'm going to go with the legendary striker Luis Suarez coming over from Gremio. For Puebla, a name that many will recognize, Lucas Cavallini coming over from Tijuana. And then for Tigres, I've gone for Juan Bruneta coming over from Santos Laguna. And big signings summer 2024, nothing so far for Miami, which is absolutely shocking. For Puebla, I've gone for Kevin Velasco coming over from Deportivo Cali. And then for Tigres, I've gone for Fernando Tapia from Querétaro.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, lots of big names in this one. That's why it's a ticket selling group, and you are going to see packed stadiums no matter which team is playing where. But we'll start with the only MLS team in here, Inter Miami. The 2023 Leagues Cup winners packing a star-studded lineup, even though they're missing their leading man, Lionel Messi, through injury, will look to repeat their Leagues Cup feat in 2024, though in a much tougher group to start. Tata Martino runs it back, and he has a big task on his hands as he also plays a balancing act. Miami currently lead the Shield race as well, and they need to prioritize which they care about more. As mentioned, they're currently leading the Shield race, 5 points clear, but they are the defending Leagues Cup champs as well. That's a lot of pressure on these guys. Repeats are hard, especially in big tournaments like this. Who is the player you're watching?
So I hope I didn't pre-podcast curse this player to watch here, but I picked Diego Gomez, who has missed a lot of this year with an ankle injury, but has been returning a little bit lately. He's been kind of in and out of the team again, but I did see a Tommy Scoops tweet today. I don't know if he tweeted it today, but I saw it today.
No, it was yesterday. You're
Okay.
late again.
Like, listen, I got a life outside of this. I can't
No,
always be
you
on
don't.
top of it. Where he has been rumored for a big fee with Brighton. So if that goes through, maybe he doesn't even play Leagues Cup. But let's just assume he does play Leagues Cup. I think he was very good for Miami before the ankle injury. Obviously, he missed many weeks. I think 10 weeks or 10 game weeks he missed with that ankle injury. But he's back now, and he got a goal and assist against Toronto 2 games ago. So kind of picking up his form already. And so I will look to him in a team that has rotated so much this season with constant injuries and resting guys to step up and be a game changer for them while they're missing Messi for this tournament.
Yeah. Again, there was 25 players you could have picked out of this team, really. My player is who I am calling maybe the player who is in the best form individually entering the 2024 Leagues Cup, and that is Julian Gressel. This year, he's got 1 goal and 9 assists in 24 appearances for Miami. 7 of those 9 goal contributions were in his last 8 games. This last game they played against Chicago was the first time in 7 games he didn't have, or in 8 games that he didn't have a goal contribution, mainly assists. So when you're talking about players like this guy might be individually in the best form as anybody else entering this tournament, which I think is really, really fun, especially when you're going up against some of the big names. So now you get to see if he can do it on the bigger stage. Yeah, just really, really excited to see what he can bring against teams like Tigres and Puebla. Speaking of teams like Tigres and Puebla, we've got the last place finishers in the Clausura last year with 5 points in 17 games, Puebla. Now they are through 4 games in the Apertura, and they have 4 points, so they're doing a bit better in terms of pace.
Hey, don't jinx it yet. They're not a 5-point yet.
No, they want the jinx. We need the jinx. There's a new boss in charge, Jose Manuel de la Torre, and he is in charge, ready to turn this group around, which would be very much welcome as they try to make it to the knockout rounds for the first time in Leagues Cup history. This very long and illustrious history of the Leagues Cup, as we know. Who are you keeping an eye on?
I'm going for the man that we talked about before, Lucas Cavallini, the former Whitecap. He joined them in winter 2024, and in this season so far has started all 4 games for them and has 4 of the team's 5 goals. So he is going to be obviously relied upon heavily to score goals for this team. And for those of you that are new to the sport, you do need to score goals to win games. So
that's not true.
I guess technically it's not, because you could go through on 0-0 and win in PKs. But you won't get 3 points, and you want 3 points. He has scored 2 penalties this season, so I think we have to officially rename him Pukas Pavlini.
I love it. Hook that to my veins. And I'm right there with you, right? I'm right there with Lucas Cavallini for all the reasons you just said. Mainly the guy who's red hot. I mean, I think you mentioned 4 of the team's 5 goals. Is that right?
Yep.
So he is scored in every game so far this season, I think. That's probably what that turns out to be. But 4 goals in 4 games, regardless, is a red hot start. And he's going to be a handful for these back lines. They will have to deal with him in turn. But I'm not super worried about the 2023 Campeones winners, the 2020 Champions Cup winners, Mexican Giants against MLS Giants. It's Tigres. I can't wait to see them play. They are always a good joy to watch. They've got one of the strongest sides in this league and this tournament and this confederation. And I mean, you put them up against any side in the Americas, and they're up there. And they are led by the former Chicago Fire boss, Veljko Paunovic, the guy who couldn't get Chicago even remote. I think he got to I think he was part of the 2017 team that got to the playoffs, but other than that, not so hot. But 2020, as I mentioned, 2020 Champions League winners, 2023, they called it the Champions Cup, but it wasn't this Champions Cup, it was a different champion, like Mexican Champions Cup, I think. However, they had a relatively disappointing League Cup showing last season. They lost in the round of 16 to Monterrey. They will look to do a little bit better that time around. Who are you watching?
Gone for the MLS killer, Andre Pierre Gignac. The man is 38 years old. He is getting up there in age. Hopefully he won't be killing MLS teams for much longer, but for as long as I can remember, this guy has tormented teams in CONCACAF Champions League for many years. He has got 2 goals so far this season in 3 starts in 234 minutes. He scored in the most recent game as well. I forget who it was against, but I think his experience with playing against MLS sides and his experience just in general is going to be big for this team to bring some consistency and not be so up and down, which I think could potentially be an issue for a team like Miami, who might be rotations a lot.
Yep, can't argue with you there. I've also got APG. He is 38 years old, but he was 38 and played 2,800 minutes and scored 21 goals. So age is just a number there. So like fine wine, he keeps improving with age, and I can guarantee you he's going to be an absolute nightmare to handle for any team that they come up against. That is my prediction for Andre Pierre Gignac. But what is your prediction for the group?
I think hinted at it a little bit right before this, but I think that Tigres is going to finish first. I think they're going to be a bit more consistent in terms of lineups than Miami will be. There's a ton of experience in this team. Just looking at everybody's age on FBref, the guys that are started have started 4 games or even like just 2 games so far this season is like 31, 34, 35, 31, like just very experienced players, which I think could be beneficial for them in this tournament. And in very high stress moments where there's going to be a lot of that in this tournament. Every game is going to come down to huge moments here. You can't really take your foot off the gas on any game. I got Miami at 2. They just really like, despite the fact that they rotate the team so much, they always find ways to get results. It's probably a testament to what Tata Martino has been doing there, but it doesn't matter who they bring in. Somebody finds a way to get the job done, and they continue to win despite the fact that they've been without Messi for a while now. And then last I got Puebla, who I got a very unfortunate draw here and going up against the team in second place in Liga MX and the team in first place in MLS. I mean, that's just unlucky. And so I got them third.
This was a group we're pretty much on the same page with for everything. I've got Tigres at 1, as you mentioned, really strong side, and gonna have a lot of difficulties finding weak spots in that group. Miami at 2, I think their back line still will give them issues, and they'll be able to hang with the best, but I do think that it will be tough for them to get by Tigres. And then Puebla, thanks for coming. Sorry, you got put in a really tough group, but see you next year.